Hey everyone, it's Phil Golfi here. You have to listen to this real estate show. Hello everyone, this is Phil Golfi with REMAX The Golfi Team. Welcome to the Golfi Real Estate Show, Hamilton edition with host Rick Zamperin.
Yeah, good morning. Another Saturday morning here on 900 CHML. Welcome one and all. We're going to talk real estate for the next hour. We know that the market is, a little interesting as we'll get into on the show. We're also going to talk a little bit about mortgage rates, where they are going, and where house prices may be going. And we'll also get into a pretty cool event that the Golfi team has in store that might help you to get to where you want to go. If you want to sell your house or you're in the market to buy a home, the Golfi team is the team to call. Just happens to be the #1 REMAX team in Canada. Call them today at 905-575-7700 or go online at robgolfi.com. That's Rob, Golfi.com. Phil Golfi, you, I'm sure, have had a busy real estate life this week.
It's always busy, Rick. I just, you know what? In real estate, I always say, you know, as an agent, the best ability is availability. And I got a little story. I was actually just talking about it with the girls before we got on. So last weekend, I had the longest day. I'm arriving home late. You know, taking lots of calls, doing lots of appointments, and I finally feel like the day's over. So dinner's ready at home for me. And I finally sit down, I'm decompressing and just, you know, reflecting on the day. And I get a call from one of my clients, and I've been working with this client, you know, on and off for 2 years. They're motivated to buy, but they're waiting for the perfect property. So, you know, every so often, every few weeks, we would go out and, you know, look at a home, and they were super specific, right? So this one home comes up in Smithville, and she texts me, and she's like, Phil, we really want to go see this property. It's you know, kind of checks all our boxes. It fits exactly what we're looking for. And I said, okay, well, you know, let's go check it out tomorrow. But I kind of had this hunch, and I'm like, okay, you know, this property, you know, I got to look into it. So I booked the showing that night to go tomorrow in the evening. And right away, I get a message. It says 2 registered offers presenting at 8 o'clock that night. Now, keep in mind, it's 6:30. I'm sitting at home, just sat down for dinner. So I call her and I said, hey, we got to get through this property tonight. We got to go see it. So I get up from dinner, hop in my car right away, drive out to Smithville. We view this property at 7:30. 8:30, I'm typing up an offer. At 9:30, we get an accepted offer. And so it's like I said, it's you know, sometimes in real estate, it's the best ability is availability. And if I waited, you know, if I didn't kind of go through that process, it's the house is sold that night, and you know, my clients miss out on it. They miss out on their dream property, and you know, and we're still looking here today. But now they're looking toward a move-in date, and away we go. So it's just strange how, you know, how fast and how quickly it goes in real estate, and how fast and quickly the decisions are made. But like I said, we have been looking at properties for over, you know, close to 2 years now, and you know, the perfect property pops up, and we hop on it. So it's just sometimes, you know, you reflect on your job, you reflect on your career, and it's, you know, that would be so out of the, you know, the ordinary in other people's careers, but in ours, it's completely normal.
So is that a normal occurrence? And how many times do you think, whether it's you or someone else in the Golfi team or just a realtor in general, has a phone call like that, and you're like, all right, let's check it out tomorrow, and then just if things don't materialize as this case did?
Yeah, I you know, it's not out of the ordinary, but it's not normal, right? I mean, there's always those instances where you're completely juggling your schedule, and you're running around, and you're trying to accommodate, you know, everyone else's schedule, right? Basically, that's what we do is we try to be available when everyone else is available. So, like I said, it's not out of the ordinary. Usually, like I was very confused by this because the property came up that day, right? It came up that morning, and they already had 2 or 3 offers that were registered that day. Now, if I was the agent on the other end, I would have delayed the offer presentation. I would not have done it that night, just to allow more people, like I said, like me, to be able to get in through the door. Now, if they sold that house that day, right, and we didn't get in, and, you know, my buyers probably would have said, oh, well, you know, we would have paid more than that, or we were interested in the house. So that, you know, that's where you get into this, you know, whole strategy of offers, right? And how to present them and how to accept them. So that I thought that was very different in terms of what the listing agent did. I would have, you know, pushed the presentation back a day or two just to allow more people to get through. And it's not this high anxious, high strung, you know, very limitless environment in terms of timing and offers. So it was very interesting that way. So if I was me on the other end, I would have said, whoa, I wasn't expecting this amount of interest this quickly. How about this? Let's delay the offer presentation date until after the weekend. So not only does it allow buyers to take their time and you don't put them into a box to make a very anxious decision right away, but also it allows the listing to breathe, and it allows other people to get through the property who might not have seen it on that first day when it came up for sale.
And that goes back to your mantra or your motto, the greatest ability is availability. If you make a listing available to more people, wouldn't that be a bigger positive?
Yeah, bingo. If you know, that's what it comes to real estate in terms of, you know, how do I get the most amount of money for my house? And it's exposing it to the greatest number of buyer pools that are out there, right? And it's accessing those buyer pools and making sure that they're aware of your listing, because if they're not, then, you know, they don't see it, and then you might miss out on the best buyer for your property. And that's, you know, listen, this was perfect for my buyers. They got top dollar for it because my buyers wanted it, and you know, it fit their lifestyle. It was close to their parents. It was in, you know, in the same school district that they wanted. So it checked all their boxes. They were willing to overpay for it. I don't think they overpaid for it, but they were willing to, right? They brought in a very aggressive offer to be able to win it and compete to win it. And I always say that to people, you know, if it's perfect, when it comes down to value, it comes down to price. You got to think about what's it worth to you. And there's some people right now that are, you know, may have overspent or overpaid on a property, but at one time they wanted it, right? And at one time it was perfect for them. But what's that worth, right? If it's your kids or your family or your job or what, and it fits your lifestyle and it fits what you're doing, well, what's that worth? That's worth something to you. And that, you know, that was one of my explanations to these people. I said, I don't want you to lose this. We've been looking for 2 years. We have a fairly, like, we have a sample size of, you know, walking through properties and knowing what you like and knowing what you don't like and what you want. And if this house checks every single box or every single one of your boxes that you had highlighted that in terms of what's important for you in your next home, then be aggressive and go after it. And you're going to love it, and you're going to enjoy it, and you're going to watch your kids grow up here, and it's close to your parents. So your parents have, you know, they're available for childcare, and it's close to the schools that your kids are already going to. So those were things were all important for us. And so we got super aggressive and we went after it. And obviously, you know, they asked me, they're like, Phil, you know, we don't want to overpay. We don't feel like we're overpaying for it. And I always go back. I say, well, if you woke up tomorrow morning and someone else paid the price that you paid, you're going to say, well, I would have paid that. And I would be disappointed if I didn't pay that. And I think that's, you know, when you reflect on that and you look at it and you stretch it out over a long-term goal where this is where you're going to, you know, build roots, and, you know, your kids are going to grow up and you probably won't be moving for the next 10 years or so, then it's, you know, you make a case for it in terms of, you know, it's a great buy.
How often, especially these days, does a home check off all the boxes for a buyer?
You know, there's homes out there that check off every single box, but just not the price tag. Unfortunately, it's
yeah. Well, and that's a box too, right?
Yeah, of course. And I think that's, you know, that's the most important one in terms of this, you know, this market right now. It's the high interest rate market, and you know, people will sacrifice location for a little bit more size, and or, you know, vice versa. So it's, you know, I think it's, when it comes to my job, it's about managing expectations and starting on a really, really good fit and understanding what exactly that they're looking for. And then going through that process with the buyers, especially first-time home buyers. It's, they have all these, I want a backyard and I want a deck and I want, a master bathroom or, 3 or 4 bedrooms and a finished. And then it's like, so it's going through that process, understanding what is, what exactly is important to them. And then showing them, in terms of what they can get within their budget and different types of scenarios that you can help them out with. So I always say, the first, in terms of meeting a buyer and going through that process is so important in terms of managing expectations up front. But with that being said, a lot of the buyers today are so well informed that they're coming to me with everything set out and laid out in terms of a framework and a strategy of what they want to do and how they want to do it. And I feel like, a lot of buyers are already looking online and have been looking online for a while before they even entertain or get a real estate agent involved. A lot of buyers today have already, gone to the bank or gone to a mortgage agent for a pre-approval process before they get a real estate agent involved. So there's the buyer today in today's market is way more educated and just way more aware just with the amount of information that's available online. So it's using what they've done in terms of getting ready for the home buying process, and then using my expertise and experience and helping them, obviously making the experience as less stressful as possible and enjoyable.
I know you want to give a shout out to the new CrossFit gym in Burlington.
Yeah, so I always used to be the good life guy. Just, pop in for the executive workout, walk on the treadmill, couple curls, maybe some shoulders. But yeah, I really wanted to challenge myself and look for something new in terms of a fitness level. So I popped into this gym, North Shore Athletic Club. It's right off Brant Street in Burlington. And I was introduced to a whole new level of fitness, a whole new level of working out. And these guys are amazing. The community's awesome. So shout out to North Shore Athletic Club for welcoming me with open arms, and super excited to be there. And I'm doing stuff that I never thought I would be doing, never thought I could do. But it's been a super fun environment, and it's always fun when you pop into new clubs and new communities and meet new people. And I guess fitness is one way where you can do that and challenge yourself. I guess that's the most important thing is challenging yourself. And it's been a great opportunity and a great experience so far. So my body feels broken and hurt, but it's we're gonna have better days ahead of us in terms of how I feel right now.
Sounds cool. You're also going to certainly get fit for the golf season. I know you're excited about that as well.
Yeah, back swinging the clubs. It's something that I enjoy. It's something that, me and my friends all enjoy together. So, I feel like golf has taken off since COVID. I feel like every person you talk to is either playing golf or pickleball. And those are the two mainstays when it comes to, leisure sports, especially for older people. And it's been great. I mean, I like I said, it's a constant battle in terms of trying to improve and shoot lower scores, but it's really fun. So it's we've had absolutely beautiful weather. It feels like summer's here. The flowers are blooming and the trees are blooming, and you get that nice cold, that airy breeze, and the pools are opening. So it's summer's here, and I love it. I feel like Canada has the best summers in the world. Nothing beats it. It's, we just, the prettiest landscapes, the best summers. It's so much fun to be here. And there's been a couple years, I've traveled up to Northern Michigan for golf trips, and it's just so beautiful to Northern Michigan's stunning as well. And so it's fun. I always, like to be a homebody during the summer. I don't like taking off or taking vacations. And, but yeah, I love it here. I love the golf season, and it feels like it's here in full swing.
And to that end, the Canadian Open is going to be at the Hamilton Golf and Country Club starting May 28th. That's going to be exciting as well.
Yeah, super exciting. I've been to the last few Canadian Opens. I mean, we remember the one last year with Nick Taylor draining that 72-foot putt in the playoff against Tommy Fleetwood, which was outstanding. It is Canadian sport heritage moment. So to see that and him come back and defend that title and combined with Rory coming in, and the field is pretty strong. They're announcing new guys every single day that will be coming down, and it's in our own backyard. So Hamilton Golf and Country is a world-class venue, and it's gonna they just went through some recent course renovations, and I feel like there's a lot of buzz around it in terms of it's a great national North American wide event that people are tuning in, and Hamilton's on this kind of focal point. So it's, I enjoy going out. I always describe it as like it's like a picnic where people are playing golf. So you go and, everyone's, walking around, having drinks, having a good time. And it's, hopefully we get some really nice weather here. And last time it was here at Hamilton was 2019, and that's when Rory won. And it was an amazing event. I mean, you think back to 2019, the Raptors were in the finals, I think it was, and winning that championship. And Rory ran away with the Canadian Open win. And it was, we had the Florida Georgia line playing at the concert. I believe it was the Rec Laws that opened for them. So it was such a great event and something that I really enjoyed going to. And I know the people in Hamilton will come out and support and show up, and the tickets are still on sale. You can still get a ticket. So it's something, I'm a golf fan. I enjoy watching, and anytime, you can go to an event in your own backyard, you can't miss it. So super excited to see everyone kind of come together and what it's going to do for Hamilton. I mean, there's a lot of people coming in, a lot of money being spent. It's going to be great for the local businesses and restaurants and hospitality. And so it's going to be a super fun weekend.
Absolutely, and it's on a tremendously majestic course. Our Lady Peace is going to be one of the concert headliners during that week. CHML is going to be broadcasting live from the tournament all weekend long, so excited to be there for sure. Also excited about Win in Any Market. This is an event that's hosted by the Golfi Team at Leona Station. What's going on here?
Yeah, so we had the event last week, and Rick, this was something that we wanted to start doing. We've had about 4 events now. And it's like it's by the agents for the agents, and it's these conferences that we put on in terms of like it's a great networking event to come and learn and develop your business, but also network with other realtors. And we hosted one at Leona Station, and it was one of our best ones yet. And like I said, it happened last week. We had about 400 people out, and the buzz is still going on. And at this event, and we talked about social media and branding and why that's important to be authentic and connect with your followers and building communities, right? And that's something that we focus on, and we do even with this show. We talk about our listening community, which is awesome. And a lot of people will reach out to us and say, I love the show. I listen to the show. I'm working with you guys because I've listened for the last 4 or 5 years. So it's been amazing in terms of building communities, and it's sharing how we've been able to do that, but also how other agents are able to build their own community with their own client base and so on. And then on top of that, we had Dr. Nick Bontis out and talking about productivity and, how to, manage your time and your schedule and be effective and have effective conversations. So he was one of the keynote speakers who was amazing and offered and shared a lot of his experience and how he's been able to be effective, but how you can be effective too in terms of, managing time. And then my dad sat on a panel with another super agent who developed a massive team, Sam McDaddy, and they shared some of their experiences in terms of trial and tribulations and building their teams and how they've been successful in doing that. So it's called Win in Any Market. And one thing that was super interesting to see is not just realtors or people from our industry came out, but we crossed over with some other industries as well. And a lot of people kind of, found out about this event online and on social media, and they signed up, and it was free. So if what I just said or something like that, aspires you or is something that you're interested in, we're going to keep continuing to host them and it's wininanymarket.com, and you can sign up for these events. And I believe we do have another one coming up in October. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, we're going to have another one for sure. I believe it's in October. But it's it's a super fun event that we love doing. We love connecting with our communities, the agent community. And a lot of the stuff we do now, Rick, is all virtual, right? I guess, in the old days of real estate, it was you had an offer and you would go present it in person, and the other agent would be there in person, and the buyers are kind of there in person, and you're going back and forth. Now, it's all digital, right? All the signatures are digital. There's not that face-to-face or belly-to-belly like it used to be. So there's agents out there who I've worked with on multiple deals and have done lots of good business, and I've never met them in person. And that's like every industry now, right? Where you're going back and forth over email or over phone, and you're getting signatures via, digital, and you have this relationship, but there's always that importance of belly to belly, or, meeting in person and just building that, relationship more. So that's something that we enjoy. That's something that we understand is important in terms of, and it's also about giving back to the agent community and doing that. So like I said, it's wininanymarket.com. We're going to continue to have these events. We want people there. We want agents there. We want people to come learn. We want people to come network. And it's something that we're super proud of in terms of what we've been able to build in terms of this, this community, the Win in Any Market community.
This might not be the focus of this event, but has anyone at any point, because I know you've hosted a few of these in the past, said, you know what, I've been listening to the show. I see the Golfi ads all over the place, TV, billboards, hear the commercials on the radio. Has anyone ever said, hey, is the Golfi team hiring? I'd like to, make a switch.
Yeah, all the time, Rick. I mean, we're in the business of trying to attract talent, the best talent, and joining our team. So we, that's one of our main goals and objectives in hosting these events, is showing what we have to offer and how we offer it. And if it's something that kind of fits what someone's looking for in terms of a real estate team or a real estate company, then, come on in. We'd love to have a meeting and see how we can help your business. And that's how a lot of it starts, is just a short little intro and seeing if there's an opportunity to work together to help build their business.
That is pretty cool. Let's talk about the market, because in April, we took a bit of a dip there. We had a few months of growth, but down about 9% from April to April. Higher lending rates certainly played a part. New listings went way up, 33% compared to April of 2023. On the plus side, the average price of a home north of $818,000. Did anything concern or even surprise you about those stats?
Yeah, super interesting. So we felt it in April, like when we were working in it, and we can kind of feel like, hey, the market's kind of tailed off the last couple of weeks, and that's what I said to a lot of my sellers. I said, that first rush of the first quarter of this year, inventory was still low and properties were moving, and then in April we started to see some properties sit a little longer on the market, receive a few less showings, and then when the stats come out and you view it, you're like, well, that's exactly what I would have expected. That's exactly what I was feeling. So it felt like we had that first initial punch, which was February, March, and very busy, very active. We even not as crazy as previous years, but we're even seeing some properties go into multiple offers, properties sell in very short time. And then April came and it just kind of was a little bit mundane, a little bit, easier, like, not as busy. So now when you start to see the numbers come out and we can reflect back on it, it was a very true feeling in terms of how we felt as a team. It's going to be very interesting right now. I think we're very interest rate dependent. I think there's a lot of interest rate speculation where at the beginning of the year, people were like, interest rates are going to start coming down. I want to go buy before the interest rates drop, because, the speculation of when they drop, the prices are going to go up. So I want to get out in front of that. And then April tailed off. So I'm interested to see what happens in the next few months, how the interest rates are going to affect the market. But we, it's a very weird market right now in terms of everybody has this different idea in terms of what they think or what they're speculating is going to happen, especially when it comes to interest rates.
Well, you mentioned the interest rates, and this is the interesting part of 2024 because Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, and I chatted with Anthony Passarelli, one of their senior analysts, about this. When it comes to that pent-up demand, there's a lot of people just waiting for the interest rates to come down, and we hear, it's probably going to be June, if not, not that much later than that. And that is going to, I would think, entice a lot of people to jump in. And so the latter half of this year could be a lot more active than what we're dealing with right now, right?
Bingo. But here's the situation. So if everyone's waiting for this interest rate situation, right? Whether it's coming down or when it's coming down, is if all the sellers go at once and say, okay, I'm gonna list my house when the interest rates come down. But if there's and our inventory rapidly rises, right? And we're starting to see it. There's a lot of new listings that are hitting the market, this week that are hitting the market this month. Inventory is rising as we speak right now. But if all the sellers come out and say, and we're talking about sellers, all the sellers who didn't sell last year because they're coming back on the market, and all the sellers who maybe are selling because of, their mortgages are renewing and they're not interested in paying that high interest rate that, has jumped and their mortgage payment has jumped. If everyone comes at once and there's not enough buyers to absorb the amount of new listing inventory there is, prices are going to struggle. They will. However, if that same pent up demand is still there from buyers, and there's a lot of buyers that are sitting on the sidelines saying, okay, I'm going to jump back into the market when the rates drop, and it somehow equals each other out. Well, we might see this slow kind of competitive price appreciation market. So it's going to be it's going to be very interesting to see how this transpires. No one knows. No one knows. I always say that is no one knows. But it's going to be exciting to work in and see how it transpires. What we do know is, and I always say this, is home ownership is a top priority for Canadians. A lot of Canadians are interested in owning their own home. And combined with that, we have a shortage of housing. So those two together, prices will stay strong, but they might not appreciate as fast as people are expecting.
So earlier this week, some fireworks, literal gunshots outside the posh mansion of one Drake. The Canadian rapper wasn't home at the time, but one of his security guards was shot, seriously injured, in what many believe is connected to the rap feud that he has with American rapper Kendrick Lamar. Now, police aren't saying they're connected, but a lot of people saying, this might be more than a coincidence. What I want to know from you, Phil, is when something like this happens, whether it's in the Bridle Path in Toronto or, North End, Hamilton, or on the mountain, how big of an impact does it have on the neighborhood when it comes to the price impact when it comes to selling a home?
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to talk about the Bridle Path area, it's not going to have any impact on that. That's one of the most famous, most richest, most renowned neighborhoods to live in all of North America. But what's interesting is I remember when Drake, and this home was very, I feel like everybody knew about Drake's home in terms of what he was building. Like it was a huge saga in terms of what was going on. But thinking back, I remember when people tried to prevent him from some of the residents in the neighborhood didn't want that type of celebrity in the neighborhood. I feel like they were trying to prevent him from building this home because they didn't want that type of attention. And I guess they didn't want what's happening right now to happen in their neighborhood. I think they foresaw some of the stuff that might come with a rapper and moving into their neighborhood. So it's interesting to see that. But we live in an age where these celebrities have to spend so much money on security, and fame is actually one of the the biggest costs to them, right? Like it's the amount of money that celebrities and just being famous and how much it costs them just to live their daily life is crazy. But it's I have not been following this rap feud and what's been going on with him and Kendrick Lamar. It's just crazy how it's gotten to this point where people are getting shot. Like what's going on? But I don't know. In terms of neighborhoods, for sure, crime will 100% have a effect on value. It will have an effect on prices. Will have an effect on demand. And I feel like in certain neighborhoods, if something happens in that neighborhood, it's kind of like this dark cloud that surrounds the neighborhood for its entirety, right? Like people become, especially locally, like if something happens in your local neighborhood, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's the neighborhood that this happened. Could have been 10, 15 years ago, but that's what it's always known as, right? Or, if there's a murder, if there's if someone burned a house, like whatever it is, I feel like it's always known as that house or that neighborhood or that street that happened on, right? And, I don't know if people want to be associated with that or you know what I mean? I in terms of having effect on value, I think eventually, it makes a bounce back, but initially I just don't think people want to be living in an area with a famous or renowned crime that has happened. So yeah, I do think it does have an impact. I really do. Unfortunately, and it's out of people's control in terms of what has happened. But yeah, just growing up, you remember different things that have happened in different areas or different streets, and they kind of stick with you, right? Like when you hear it in the news, and that's what you remember it as. You remember it as that house or that street or that area. And when it comes to buying, I just think maybe that's what you think of when you think of that street. Now, when it comes to buying, I always Google the address, because anytime you Google the address or anytime you Google the street, the news articles are going to come up of exactly what has happened on in that area, and that's a good way to check, and that's a good way to prevent it from buying in a highly crimed area.
So Home Depot, of all places, is now getting into the home selling, or at least home availability business. We're so strained for new homes getting on the market. Construction companies, developers have a shortage of skilled laborers. They can't build homes fast enough. So Home Depot, I guess, coming to the rescue and offering some tiny homes for as much as like $60K. What do you think about this, Phil?
Yeah, these look awesome. I mean, it's unbelievable in terms of the construction of these tiny homes and how well they look and how well they're constructed, and what you can do with such a small space, right? And how livable they have made them in comparison to, other even single detached houses. It's the comfortability in here is great. They're open concept. You got your kitchen, you got your bathroom. It's pretty wild in terms of what they've been able to do and manufacture them in a way that, I'm assuming they can be delivered directly to your door, which is, and we saw this, right? Remember, like you can buy those sheds in a box, right? And all the retailers have sheds in a box, and you self-construct it, and they deliver to you in a like I said, in a box, and away you go. This is probably something similar in terms of what's going on with these tiny homes. So yeah, why not, right, Rick? Like if there's a market for it, these guys will find a way to to see it or to make money off it. And if there isn't a market for it, we've seen, businesses and companies make a market for it. So just with, housing affordability and zoning, right? Different types of zoning will allow for these tiny homes or laneway homes to be built on certain properties. So, it's a great opportunity for people who want them. I always think of like the cottage bunkie, right? One of these would be great if you had a cottage and you're looking to, build a guest house or something along those lines. I think these tiny homes are awesome to be able to build and construct and have that. Or, even if you have a big country property, what's wrong with, building one of these on it? So it's going to be interesting to see how. I haven't seen any, like I know we've been talking about, there's been other companies that have developed these and offer them as well, but I haven't seen any of them yet in terms of, viewing properties or looking at properties for sale. I haven't come across the tiny home in the laneway or in the backyard, but I do think they're going to become more popular. I think they're going to start, popping up, especially if you municipalities and governments allow for it to be put on the properties.
Yeah, so these are called the DIY Assembly Office Guest House ADU Rental Tiny Home, ADU meaning additional dwelling units. And I think that is the purpose, to stick one of these 444 square foot, 2-bedroom cottages, basically, priced at $63,000 in a backyard, a laneway. If you live on, say out in Flamborough and have a lot of space, maybe a couple of kids are thinking we're never going to be able to afford a home, get one of these, set up a couple on the homestead, and away you go. And the picture that you're referring to is actually from Sears that used to do this years ago, from 1908 to 1942. I had no idea. And yeah, the photo is of a cottage home, basically listed at $1,945, which would be a steal today.
Yeah, it's crazy when you start to look back, and yeah, it happens to me a lot, right? I've been in this business for over 8 years now, and a lot of my stuff is I get the Facebook memories or the Instagram memories or whatever, and you look back on, even old real estate ads from 8 years ago, and you're like, holy smokes, like that sold for that. And then, now you fast forward it and you're looking at an ad from the early 1900s in a Sears catalog of something that they already had and were building and were selling. And it's just, you can get one of these for $1,000. It's unbelievable in terms of, where we've gone with prices for everything. But it's, early adopters. I wonder who were, like, obviously there was a market for it if they had it in their catalog for over 40 years. I wonder who was buying it back then. It's, I don't know if housing affordability was a thing in the early 1900s, or in terms of home ownership and lack of inventory. So it's interesting to see what, who was buying them and what they were being used for, or where they were being used. But it's super interesting for sure. And like I said, I'm interested to see what comes out of this and what people decide to do. I mean, a lot of companies have gotten into the tiny home market and started offering them. And it's going to be, how are they going to be used, and what's going to happen to municipal governments in terms of how they're going to allow them to be used is going to be one of the biggest things.
It is a sensational story, although nothing new. Sears catalog homes were pre-cut and ready to assemble back in 1908 to 1942. That is pretty phenomenal. I know Amazon is also getting in on this kind of fun as well, so it'll be interesting to see what the future holds in this regard. Don't forget, you can listen to our show online through Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and many more. Just search for the Golfi Real Estate Show in your favorite podcast platform. Don't forget to hit that follow button so you never miss an episode. And don't forget as well, if you want to sell your house or in the market to buy a home, call the #1 REMAX team in Canada, the Golfi Team, 905-575-7700, online at robgolfi.com. That's Rob, GOLFI.com. Thank you, Phil, and thank you for listening to the Golfi Real Estate Show.